Okay, this is my chapter 10 observation. The first thing I wanted to talk about, the second that we started reading about professional face, reminded me of, I had in like 2020 or 2021, I had a TikTok that went like semi-viral where I talked about the difference between my normal voice and my customer service voice because I worked at a service desk for a long time. And it just made me think of that, right? How it's almost professional face, in my opinion, is a form of code switching. It doesn't explicitly say that, but it really is, right? When we talk about adapting communication to fit the needed behavior, it reminded me of how I speak differently depending on the friends that I'm around, right? If I'm with my Hispanic friends, the longer I'm with them, the more I start to talk like them. If I'm with my black friends, the more I'm with them, the more I start to talk like them. If I'm around my Polynesian family, the more I'm around them, the more I start to talk like them. And it's similar at work, where I get to work, and the more I'm in that setting, the more my professional face starts to show, right? The more ingrained into it I am. I also wanted to talk about. Sorry, I'm scrolling up. Um, we often don't. I think when we think of goals, we don't often categorize them, right? And so it was interesting to talk about instrumental goals versus relational goals. Um, I think that often with relational goals, I don't think that they're often laid out as goals, right? I think when we talk about relational goals, a lot of times, relational goals remind me of when we talk to a partner or a friend about emotional needs, um, and saying, "Hey, this is something that I'm needing, and maybe the outcome will be this." So that maybe the outcome is the relational goal, right? Um, versus instrumental goals, which are typically going to be goals put in place by somebody above you for you to accomplish that are performance directed, right? Whereas relational goals are emotionally directed and revolve around intimacy. Um, to go along, also, I wanted to talk about the discussion. Sorry, I got a lot of sneezes in me this morning. um, I talked about how workplaces emphasize instrumental goals. Sorry. Um, well, pretty much any other organization that you're in is going to care more about your well-being and your emotional intimacy, right? Maybe maybe some religious organizations, not quite as much, but your social organization or your social groups are going to care a lot about that. um, or like if you're, I don't know, in a group that does community service, they're going to care a lot about. They're going to have instrumental goals as well, but they're going to care a lot more about emotional well-being as well. I think the thing that changes that is other organizations may feel the need to invest in your personal well-being, where in the current uh, job market we live in, jobs do not. Workers are expendable, and they're already paying you, and so they don't feel the need to take care of you. And that's not how it used to be, but that is how it is now. Um, I also talked about the difference of face and like how we have different faces and identities in every organization that we're in. I'm sure that the people I grew up going to church with and in that religious organization probably view me differently than the people that I work with currently, because my identity and what I was showing was different, right? Um, and then also, uh, there hierarchy. Sorry, I've got a little lost. Hierarchy exists in essentially all organizations, whether it's explicitly stated or not, and it's going to be some form of hierarchy, but also may just be roles are going to be different, right? You play a role. You may have three distinct friend groups that you hang out with, and you're going to probably play a different role in every single friend group that you're in. Um, there's another part of the chapter I want to talk to. Sorry, this is running a little long. Oh, I liked. I'd never heard of the term sedimentation um, in the workplace, right? Well, I understood the general, but I hadn't heard that word used to talk about it, and I thought that was a really astute example, or that that word being placed to represent that makes a lot of sense, right? Because I think that is how your work views that, right? How everyday processes create a structure, right, for performance, and it that buildup is supposed to accomplish something greater. I don't know how true that is. I think it is more of it holds the status, not it holds the status quo. It it's more of like it is there's a bridge and it breaks a little every day and you're just repairing it back to 100. You're not improving upon it, but you are repairing it back to what it is by doing the small process every day rather than building on it. I think the building on it is anything extra that you end up doing. But the everyday repeated practices, they just repair where you need to be. Anyway,